Massive strikes happened in critical locations in Yemen overnight, marking the first time in months Israel struck the Houthi hotbed after their ballistic missile hit Ben Gurion Airport on Sunday. Simultaneously, the IDF targeted former Assad regime military infrastructure in Syria in order to protect the Druze communities in Syria and eliminate potential threats to Israel's security. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, the IDF targeted 3 Hezbollah sites, including a strategic weapons manufacturing and storage site in the Bekaa Valley. This afternoon, the IDF also issued an unprecedented evacuation order for Sana's international airport before conducting heavy airstrikes in Sana, Yemen, along with the United States. According to Houthi media, the Israeli airstrikes completely destroyed the Sana International Airport terminal, as well as all civilian aircraft and service facilities at the airport. Additionally, 2 power plants in Sana were destroyed, along with a concrete factory in the north of the city. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian recaps last night's developments.
Fires were seen in this video roaring overnight in the Houthi-held port city of Hodeidah in Yemen after the IDF says they carried out airstrikes in response to a ballistic missile strike that hit Ben Gurion Airport and left several people injured. 20 Israeli fighter jets targeted the Hodeidah port in Yemen, with the military saying the jets dropped 50 munitions on Houthi targets, including infrastructure and a concrete factory. The IDF says the Iranian-backed Houthis used the port to transfer Iranian weapons, equipment for military needs, and other terror purposes. Meanwhile, Israel says the concrete factory they targeted in Bajil, Yemen, was used for building tunnels and military infrastructure. Since fighting renewed in the Gaza Strip, the terror organization began attacking Israel again by launching ballistic missiles and drones more than a dozen times at the Jewish state. The only ballistic missile the IDF failed to intercept was on Sunday, which struck a grove near a street within the perimeter of Ben Gurion Airport, leaving a massive crater in the ground and causing several injuries. Israeli officials vowed severe consequences to the terror group on Sunday. It's the first time in months the IDF has responded with force because the United States continues to launch a major aerial campaign against the terror group. Emily, overnight the IDF says they also struck targets in Lebanon, in Syria, and in Gaza in different operations.
Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli cabinet have given approval to the IDF's plan to expand its military operation in Gaza, pending results of the Middle East trip of U.S. President Trump at the end of next week. Details of the plan have emerged, and the results could be far-reaching. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz has the latest.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said the decision to escalate military operations followed the recommendation of IDF Chief Zamir. IDF Chief Zamir presented the plan to the cabinet and reportedly warned ministers that the operation could endanger the hostages held there. Officials said the plan would see the IDF take control of territory in Gaza after moving the civilian population toward the south, attack Hamas, and prevent it from taking control of humanitarian aid. The plan is gradual, with focus on a certain unspecified area of Gaza before expanding to other places. The fighting would be expected to last for months. Prime Minister Netanyahu said that the operation would be intensive.
והחלטנו על פעולה עצימה בעזה. זו הייתה המלצת הרמטכ"ל, ללכת, כפי שהוא אמר, להכרעה של החמאס, ובדרך הוא חושב שזה יסייע לנו גם לחלץ את החטופים, ואני מסכים איתו. אנחנו לא מרפים מהמאמץ הזה ולא נוותר על אף אחד. תהיה הנאה של האוכלוסייה כדי להגן עליה. דבר אחד יהיה ברור, לא ייכנסו ויצאו, נגייס מילואים כדי שיבואו יתפסו שטח, אנחנו יוצאים מהשטח, רק אנחנו עושים פשיטות ממה שנשאר, אנחנו לא שם, זו לא הכוונה.
אוקיי.
הכוונה הפוכה.
Finance Minister Smotrich said the army would conquer Gaza and hold captured territories.
אנחנו הולכים לכבוש את רצועת עזה סוף סוף, מפסיקים לפחד מהמילה כיבוש. אנחנו כובשים את רצועת עזה, מטהרים אותה, שולטים בכל השטחים שאנחנו נכנסים אליה. סוף סוף, אחרי שנה וחצי שאני צועק את זה בכתב בעל פה מעל כל בנה, משתלטים על הסיוע המוניטרי כדי שהוא לא יהפוך לאספקה לוגיסטית שמגיעה לחמאס. אנחנו מפרידים בין חמאס לאוכלוסייה ולסיוע המוניטרי. מחסלים אותו, מכריעים אותו, מכניעים אותו ומשיבים את החטופים. זו הדרך היחידה.
President Trump and Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff both made remarks on the ongoing war in Gaza. Both chose to stay away from encouraging the planned Israeli offensive. Speaking at an Israel Independence Day event hosted by the Israeli embassy in Washington, Witkoff described the occasion as bittersweet, while 59 hostages remain cruelly held by Hamas. He pledged that the Trump administration would work tirelessly this year so that next year will see a reality of peace, prosperity, and unity in Israel. U.S. President Trump declined to comment on the planned Israeli offensive, but repeated a U.S. pledge to help get food to Palestinian civilians in Gaza and placed the blame on Hamas.
We're going to help the people of Gaza get some food. People are starving, and we're going to help them get some food. A lot of people are making it very, very bad. If you look, Hamas is making it impossible because they're taking everything that's brought in. But we're going to help the people of Gaza because they're being treated very badly by Hamas. Thank you very much.
Well, joining us to discuss the IDF strategy in the region, as well as the situation in Israel and in Yemen, is Brigadier General Yossi Kuperwasser, the head of research at IDSF and the former head of the research division, of the IDF's Intelligence Corps. Brigadier General Kuperwasser, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on. To start, I want to ask you your response to what we're seeing this afternoon from the IDF in Yemen.
Well, good afternoon. And what we're seeing is an effort by Israel to send a clear message to the Yemenites and through them to the rest of the people of the Middle East, and including Iran, that any attempt to hit strategic targets in Israel or any target is going to be very costly. And the fact that we carried out the second attack in Yemen means that we really mean business. And this is in the context of a wider approach of Israel of applying pressure in the different arenas that we are engaged with. And this effort is problematic. It takes a lot of pressure before you can reach the goals. So we applied pressure very successfully against Hezbollah. We do that with less success with Hamas, but we continue and we are mounting the pressure right now. We mount enough pressure that brought about the collapse of the Assad regime. We applied enough pressure to convince the Iranians to stop launching missiles towards us. And the Houthis are more problematic not to crack. So we have to apply even more pressure, and that's what we're doing right now.
Well, we see that the U.S. has been coordinating closely in regards to attacks on Yemen, both yesterday and initial reports of today. The U.S. also supporting these Israeli strikes on the Sana'a airport in Yemen. You mentioned that it's a harder nut to crack when it comes to deterring the Houthis. What does it take to defeat the Houthis when it comes to this conflict?
Well, first of all, it takes cooperation between Israel and the United States and the coalition that stands with the United States in fighting the effort of the Houthis to disrupt the maritime activity in the Red Sea and to stop them from launching missiles in our direction. And we have this cooperation. It's very good cooperation. And most of the time, it's the Americans with their coalition that do the hard lifting in this context. But from time to time, we have to intervene, and we do that. And on top of that, I think what needs to be seen is some cooperation also from the Yemenite legal regime in Yemen and from the Arabs that are also playing a role in this context. Maybe the Saudis and the United Arab Emirates are going to join in supporting this effort. I hope I guess this is one of the issues that is going to be raised by President Trump when he comes next week to the region. And joint effort in this respect may cause more damage to the Yemenites to the point that they might consider changing their policy. They are paying a very heavy price right now.
Absolutely. Well, the IDF did carry out strikes in at least 4 places in the past day: Syria, Yemen, Lebanon, and Gaza. Can Israel maintain this level of activity, especially in the event that Israel may need to take action against the Islamic Republic itself when it comes to their nuclear program?
We can maintain it. We have enough force. Of course, in some of the arenas, we have to cooperate with the Americans, as I said, and we do. And when it comes to Iran specifically, I think that if we are going to carry out an attack against Iran because the negotiations are going to fail, The best thing to do would be to do it together with the Americans, because there are certain things that the Americans can do and we cannot. And but we have enough force to maintain fighting on all these arenas simultaneously. The ground forces are necessary in certain arenas, not in all of them. We don't use ground forces in Yemen, for example. We don't use ground forces vis-a-vis Iran. So we can use the ground forces in those arenas where we need them, especially in Gaza, but to some lesser extent in Syria and in Lebanon and, of course, in the Judea and Samaria area. We have enough forces, especially when we call up the reserves.
All right, well, we'll be following this story closely. Unfortunately, we are out of time today, but I want to thank you, Brigadier General Yossi Cooper-Wasser, for your insights today.
Thank you.
In a rapidly changing Middle East, Israel must stay ahead of emerging threats. What cutting-edge technologies will keep Israel safe? Brigadier General Professor Jacob Nagel reveals the bold strategies and breakthrough defense tech he recently recommended to Prime Minister Netanyahu in an exclusive security briefing from the American Technion Society.
Iran is weaker than ever, and someone has to take the opportunity.